Welcome to the High Queen podcast.
Prepare to embark on a journey through books you'll fall in love with, as well as the leading ladies who inspire our own stories.
Our friendship blossomed from pageantry to page turners, sparking a desire to show other women that they too can be their own main character.
I'm Miranda.
And I'm Autumn.
And together we'll lead you through books of all genres, from epic fantasy series, romance, all levels of spice, even to autobiographies of real life heroines.
Mm-hmm. Now, we are some passionate bitches, so remember, this podcast is rated R, so prepare your ears. It's time to celebrate the heroines who redefine what it means to be brave and bold.
So grab your books, beverage, and bestie and crack open your book to page 1. And let's do a little check-in with each other before we dive into this monstrosity.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Well, I had a whole day off and literally all I did was read, clean, and read. And it was so wonderful. I never have days off, fully. Unless it's a major holiday, which is ironic because we're recording this on Easter, so I had today off. But that being said, it was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed this week, and that's most of my check-in.
I love that. Yes. So for those of you guys who are in the future, we're in the past when you listen to this. Yes, we are recording on Easter. I had like an insanity week, which is just how it goes. Everything just kind of overlapped. But thankful to do some reading and have some escapism, even though don't know if I would consider these first handful of chapters that great of escapism, but they're good.
Escaping.
They're good. They are super good. It's just different than kind of the vibe that we've been on. But I wanted to point out that next week, which potentially actually, maybe I should save this. Pause. I got to look at the calendar. Sorry, everybody. We record on Thursday. So I guess I could say it Thursday. I'll say it now. It doesn't matter. So we have been doing this for 6 months. We recorded our very first episode November 12th. That's when we have it set. Like we use a reoccurring meeting, and it was November 12th, and it is currently April 5th, right? If I'm doing my math correctly, that is 6 months. And then about the time that you guys hear this, it'll also be 6 months of episodes for you, which is so cool. So I wanted to highlight that, shout that out for a second.
It's very exciting. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm proud of us.
Yeah, yes. It's did you okay, I know I'm a little bit younger than you. Did you ever watch The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody? Yay, me.
It was okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. It was a little bit after me.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought, which is fine.
But I did I did see some episodes, but I was also on the transition out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sorry. Well, one of the characters, London Tipton, she would just go, "Yay, me!" So for those of you that are maybe younger or you had children who would have watched it, you may recognize where that came from.
Well, I think it's time for us to jump into this book, and let's start with initial impressions. This book does start off a little bit darker and in a very challenging place, but there are also some moments of like quippy humor and some hot tension that I do love. We at least see it like budding. And we do see some similarities to Feyre's journey, but Nesta's inner monologue is so different from Feyre's, showing, I think, that Nesta has much more internal difficulties to overcome than I think Feyre did, ultimately, when it comes to self-hatred. And that so that was kind of my initial impression. It was like, okay, we got a similar road to walk, but also pretty different.
Yeah. It opens really heavy and really dark. I think I texted you, Autumn, and I was like, this book opens up in like a fucking really dark place, which I was like anticipating, right? Like it was not going to be rose-colored glasses, sunshine and rainbows. But yeah, a darker, different self-hatred than we have
Hmm.
ever experienced so far. But it just makes me enjoy those little moments that we do get with the humor and, Cassian talking about enjoying himself, some of those things. It also just makes me that much more excited and wishful for Nesta to break out of this and to,
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of break out of those inner demons.
Yeah. Kind of like maybe the lower you go, the better the payoff is. So I don't know. Maybe her potentially coming out of this will be worth it.
I mean, I hope it's worth it. My God. But yeah, I mean,
Uh,
maybe the deeper and darker the hole you got to dig yourself out of. I
we'll
don't
find
know.
out. But before we can, let's jump into, what we've covered and what we've read. So, before we begin our story, before our story can truly begin, excuse me, we go back in the past and we go back into the cauldron as Nesta gives us her point of view of what that battle looked like for her, the darkness, the cold, and the pain of transformation, and more importantly, her vengeance within it all. Soon we return to present day as Cassian updates us about what's happening in Valaris with our beloved inner circle since we last saw them almost 9 months ago. And it's now been 2 to 3 months since anyone is even spoken to Nesta. Cassian approaches her door with hesitation and finds her wearing a male's shirt and a male's shirt only, and said male is sneaking out of the window. Now, Feyre has apparently summoned Nesta to the river house, and Cassian is set to deliver her. As we go into Nesta's mind and she's getting ready, we learn a lot about that self hatred we mentioned and her coping strategies, or maybe lack thereof healthy coping strategies, because her coping strategies are not what we would consider healthy. We also learn more about the trauma she's carrying about her father's death and how it's still lingering, and that some males, even after centuries of being alive, apparently have yet to master the art of bedding, at least according to Nesta Archeron. Now we
So
arrive.
much experience.
I know. We arrive at the river house to find Feyre, Rhysand, and Amryn awaiting her and basically having an intervention. Their ultimatum is you either go to the human lands or you train with Cassian every morning, move into the House of Wind, and work in the library during the day. And then she can go into the city if she wants to, or maybe more so if she could make it down the 10,000 steps, and she'll be receiving no more money. Now, Feyre and Nesta speak privately when Feyre drops a lot of truths. I'm done paying for you to destroy yourself. Mm,
What a revelation.
yes. Now,
Oof.
Morrigan, having just returned from her travels in Valahan, winnows Cassian and Nesta to the House of Wind, where Cassian informs Nesta, like in a very flirtatious way, that he'll be on the floor above hers. So I'm curious, does that count as forced proximity? Maybe.
A trope we all love.
So Azriel is also staying at the House of Wind, kind of like a buffer, if you will. And Cassian leaves her to go ahead and settle in, but Nesta is barely able to function as she climbs into her bed and begins to take a long, long series of deep breaths, trying to just control the sense of overwhelming that she's feeling right now. And we go back to Cassian's point of view. He is going to see Morgan and to learn more about her time away, and he finds her basking in the sun outside of a cafe, just chilling. And then she tells him that even after weeks of trying, that Valahan has refused to sign the treaty. And then we learn that Eris has convinced Keir not to come to Valaris, at least not yet. Now, back at the House of Wind, Nesta arises and it's nighttime. She looks out the window and is reminded of the gentle caress of her mother's hand down her face, reminding us that we very rarely get memories of their mother from Feyre, and definitely never ones that feel this intimate. And then we're given a very brief truth about what happens with Thomas all those years ago, and how when she refused him to take his hand in marriage, he tried to rape her. Though we know he did not succeed because of her losing her, well, let's call it maidenhead.
Yeah. But
We know he
still,
didn't succeed, but she was assaulted. And she gives us a small window into that moment without really going in depth about the whole thing. The next morning, Cassian and Nesta have it out at breakfast. And miraculously, Cassian gets her to eat. Kind of a bribe, more so, but he wins, I'd say. Now, both of them actually thinking each other has won a battle against each other, decide to share some more snarky remarks about climbing into each other's beds, and then it's off to training. Well, Cassian is... Yes. Now, while Cassian is busy fantasizing about Nesta's backside in those Illyrian leathers, he also recalls the pain he feels about ever believing they were meant to be together. They arrive at the Illyrian training camp, and Devlin lets his disgust for Nesta be known, while Nesta embarrasses him, Cassian that is, by refusing to do anything, not even stand up off the rock she sits on. Moore arrives and is less than impressed. And then our 2 required hours together are over. So what was accomplished? Basically just Nesta watching Cassian's sweaty body train by himself. And it's time to go to the library.
Terrible 2 hours. I have to watch Cassian train and then go to the library. Oh no.
Right? Now, Nesta's empathy is displayed through her thoughts and understanding of the trauma that the priestesses have all endured. She meets them not necessarily for the first time, but the first time in this setting by herself. And you can really feel that inner monologue of understanding from her. We see a kinder side of Nesta begin to re-emerge. After 5 hours of work in the library, Clotho thanks Nesta for her work and tells her that Feyre speaks very highly of her, to which Nesta says, "No one likes a liar, priestess." A little dark humor creeping in from her. And starving, Nesta goes to the dining room to eat and finds that the meal is set for 1, and that when she asks the house for wine, it refuses. Yes, Nesta is talking to the house. Not something we were expecting.
No. You gotta find a friend somewhere.
I guess. We go back into the human lands with Cassian as he officially starts his new role as courtier to find more information about the queens. Lucian greets him and tells him that Eris is also there. While Cassian struggles internally to play courtier, he finds out that the humans in Prythian are sticking to their old demarcation lines and really don't want to cause any trouble with the Fae above them. And that several Autumn Court soldiers have gone missing with strange scents lingering in their wake. Vasa confirms that the human queens on the continent, particularly Briarlyn, the one who was turned immortal, is planning to seek power and revenge, and perhaps ally with another powerful being to help her. It is in this conversation that we get confirmation of what we kind of assumed. The powerful sorcerer on the lake, the bone carver, and Striga, the weaver's brother, it's Koschei. I mean, we all put that one together ourselves, but we have it confirmed now in writing. But it is Eris that drops the biggest bomb of all. His father has already pledged his allegiance and soldiers to the human Queen Briarlyn, a traitor from within their own lands. Unfortunately, Eris wants to stop this and to work closer with the Night Court. We return to Nesta as she braves the stairs for the first time, but only makes it in about 111 steps down. Plus those back up, I suppose. But she feels so faint and she has to return. She thinks to herself, what the hell are the benefits of becoming high fae if she can't even do this? I understand what she's saying there. She's like, "What, I can't even climb some fucking stairs."
I mean, agreed, but I'm like, babe, you're treating your body so poorly
Fair,
that, like,
fair.
yes, it's a Fey body. Yes, it's immortal to an extent. But, like, maybe if we treat it a little nicer, it can make it a little further.
Yeah, well, apparently those stairs are pretty cruel because even Reese and Cassian had to climb up and down them as punishment when they were kids, and Asriel too. And
You
apparently it made
know,
them vomit and throw up, and it was awful.
I love how they say that, like, they're all vomiting on each other and whatever, but I just have a feeling that it was Reese and Cassian that got them into that, right? Reese and Cassian are fucking around, and Azriel's just over here like, you fucking idiots are gonna make us have to take the stairs.
Absolutely. Now, Cassian gives her some shit, but ultimately he carries her back to her room after she gets back up the stairs. And, she can't even stand up anymore at that point. So he's there to literally support her. And we appreciate that. Now, the next day, Cassian is so, or not Cassian, excuse me, Nesta is so sore that she can't even stand to have, or she has to stand to have breakfast. Like she can't even sit her ass down in a chair, which I have felt that feeling. I get it, but it's hilarious because Cassian and Azrael come in and she quickly is like, boop, down in the chair, doesn't want anybody to know. And she doesn't want to show weakness in front of them, right? So, however, when it's time to stand back up to leave, she has a new issue. She can't. So then, there's some thick sexual tension going on in this scene that makes her toes curl, makes all of us imagine Cassian during every time of the day. And ultimately, she does get out of her chair. She does make it out of there. She wins her own internal and external battle. Now, round 2 of training goes just about as well as the first one, with Nesta refusing to do anything. Cassian finally takes her back to Reese's mom's house to warm up as he goes around to do business around Illyria. And she's preparing to leave, or as he's preparing to leave, he notices Nesta standing in front of the fire. She's holding herself, she's zoning out, and we know this is a trigger for her from our last book, but one of the logs cracks. And Nesta flinches, and Cassian realizes that he understands her reaction to the flame based on his own personal experiences, like with PTSD and with war, and offers her, if you want to go into town, see some of the shops, go for it. You don't have to stay in here. It's like a nice subtle way without calling out her own triggers that she might not be ready to talk about, which was really kind of him. So Nesta does just that. The first shop she enters feels very familiar to us as readers. We quickly realize that the shop owner is the one we met in our last book with Cassian. It's Emery. As she tells Nesta all about her wings, her fathers. She has one father, singular. Okay. And she offers to make Nesta some warmer leathers for her to wear during trainings. We return back to the house, and Nesta heads to the library to work, but the house insists on her eating, and Nesta refuses it. Heads off to the library, where the house continues to follow her around like a mother hen with her food. Here, when we eat your food here, eat your food there. You're going to eat your fucking food, okay? It really wants her to eat. And she has some whipping remarks back and forth with a house that is apparently just as snarky as her.
Right.
We're then introduced to a new priestess with some deep blue eyes, pinned straight, kind of coppery, brownish red hair, and and something else unique about her that Nesta just can't quite place. Her name, Gwyneth Radara. She's been there for nearly 2 years and has just as much snark as Nesta does, but doesn't have any visible trauma markings, which Nesta notes does not necessarily mean that she hasn't been through trauma. These two seem to be cut very much so from the same cloth, and even Clotho agrees, because when Nesta says that Gwen is a piece of work, Clotho says, some might say the same of you. Okay,
I
Clotho,
love
come through.
Clotho. She's just
Um,
serving. She's like, I'll bounce. I'll just throw it right back, girl.
Absolutely. Now, as Nesta settles in for the night, the house once again takes care of Nesta, but not without a please from her first, even if it goes as far as to warm her bed and the air around her instead of starting a fire, which I thought that was really sweet. I mean, this house is literally nurturing and taking care of her. It is
Mm.
seeing her trauma response, and it is responding in a way that is still nurturing to her, which I mean, when's the last time Nesta had that?
I also am like, what is this house's obsession with Nesta? Because we had a
Mm,
very, traumatized Feyre that spent a few weeks in the House of Wind. No, she didn't. That was
not
above.
there.
Okay, she spent very little
Yeah.
time in the House of Wind, actually, because I'm sitting
Hmm.
here going, what is it with Nesta? Psych. I think the house just can see
Yeah.
a woman, and not just a woman, but like somebody who needs
Someone
help.
in need. But, even
Yeah.
Cassian says, he like, these little things the house is doing is beyond what it
Yeah.
has typically ever done for any resident. He confirms it for
Hmm.
us. This is not normal. Now, she begins waking from a fitful sleep, a nightmare about Elaine being stolen, and Nesta goes back to the stairs out of desperation for any sort of numbness or reprieve. However, in her haste, she doesn't make it down. She falls down 66 stairs. Stone stairs, too, might I add. So, like, ouch.
Yeah.
Now, apparently that fall would have killed her had she been human still, but it just leaves her with bruises, a black eye that's all still visible the next day, and that's even with her Fey healing, so it must have been pretty bad. Now, it's round 3 of training, and Nesta continues to sit on that damn rock. Cassian once again holds out his hand just as Amryn told him to, but still Nesta refuses. And this leaves Cassian feeling disappointed, and Nesta with her own feelings of deserved self hatred, at least in her mind. Now, this sour mood follows her again into the library and back into the house that evening. And where even the House of Wind is now frustrated with her refusing to eat her sandwich. I know this all sounds so like silly and light, but it really feels like this house is like adamant about her becoming healthy. Like Nessa has no other choice. And as I'm reading through all of these chapters, I'm going, man, I don't know if she would have even begun to make these even small wins of eating had it not been for the persistence of this house. It's very interesting. Now, she is locked out of the library by the house, and it's forcing her to go to a
Her
different room to
library,
eat.
her smutty library, not the
Hmm.
library
The
she
house
has to
the
do
house
work
said,
in.
"You're not eating that sandwich in here. Go to the dining room.
Go
Eat your
interact with
meal
other
with other
people.
humans."
Yeah.
Or other humans, Jesus.
Fae,
Other Fae.
people.
Now, it's Azrael that reveals that something is happening on the continent, something extremely dangerous. And then we have a humorously tense moment with the three of them, followed by a very hurtful, tense moment. And then they all disperse.
Mm.
Cassian is brooding, and Feyre comes to visit him, discusses how to help Nesta. She tells Cassian that she knows Nesta does not hate him because she knows her sister and believes that she hates her. She believes that Nesta hates her, Feyre. And through their conversations, Cassian has a realization. Perhaps all that Nesta needs is a change of scenery.
And
End of
I
chapter.
went, why did we not think to start training in the circle at the House of Wind? Like, I'm sorry, but I'm like, that was kind of dumb, guys. We should have just started there and then gone to the Illyrian war camp.
Felt more obvious, right?
A
Well,
little bit, but
yeah, there are some interesting world building moments in this one. So I noted a sentence that just really spoke to me. It stuck out to me, which was in the beginning and the end, there was darkness and nothing more. And,
Mm.
this is literally, we're talking about the mother and the cauldron and, where everything comes from. And so this line just felt like kind of a world building moment to build off of that concept.
Yeah.
Um, and then there was another line that said, immortality was not a serene youth, it was fire. This is Nesta describing herself going through that change, that transformation. And I just thought that was very interesting of talking about like becoming made. Becoming made is not serene. Becoming made is fire and
It
pain.
made me think of newborn vampires, like
Yeah, very
that
very much
moving
so.
through your system, essentially.
We do learn that there's some unrest and territory battles that are still happening, and that Illyrians have peace question mark while the queens are still hiding in their castle. We've also learned that the construction of the riverfront house has finished. Awesome. And the
Yeah.
townhouse is empty. What a way to stuff space.
Right. I'm like, somebody could probably move in
You know
there.
what?
Maybe they sold
Are you
it.
going to
Maybe
sell
they're
it?
renting it out. It's an Airbnb. So that's where we'll be staying when we visit.
Love it. Apparently, this house has towering marble archways decorated in shades of ivory and sand, and chandeliers of hand blown glass, polished pale wood floors, wood furniture,
Ugh.
lots of art, plush rugs, a wall of windows facing the river and lawn. Yeah, it sounds expensive as hell.
Hey, when you're the most powerful High Lord in all of Prythian and you're the High Lady, you get what you
Yes.
want.
I
Make
know
it
they
what
don't
you want.
have one there, but it very much so sounds out of my tithe bracket.
Oh, baby. Yeah, like 20 steps above.
Yeah. We do learn a little bit more about the continent, specifically Valahan, and that they have a hot-tempered king who does not want to sign this treaty, this new treaty. He is 0% interested in that. And while Hybern no longer has a king, its people are still very angry. Wondering if that will come back into play or not, right?
Feel like
Like,
it probably will.
I don't know. We learned a little bit about Baron and his backstabbing, but the Autumn Court also has something interesting going on. The special hounds. I don't know why I was imagining like greyhounds because they said they were gray and fast, but
Mm,
um, they're sleek, incredibly fast, gray, and illegal to sell outside of the Autumn Court borders, and so expensive that only nobility can afford them. And Eris has 12 of them, which I thought
it's a lot of
that's
puppies to feed.
wild. I know. Yeah. Again, the idea of like, remember in the last book, you're like, the little boy painted, he just wants a dog.
Yeah, yeah,
And we were like, they have pets? Huh. They have
they
pets.
do.
And now we have another instance of, I mean, not really like pet, but working dog, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, okay, the queen's ability to winnow is different from that of the fae. So when we read that originally, we read it as it was a gift from the fae to the human queens during that time period. But it can only happen when multiple of them are together and they combine the power. So they cannot just one off individually use it. Thought that was interesting and important.
Hmm.
Bryaxis, this is coming from Clotho. Bryaxis never harmed any of us. I think it took pity on us. We already saw our nightmares become real long before we came here.
Mm.
And I mean, that was actually never a question I had before of like, why didn't Bryaxis bother the priestesses? But makes sense.
But yeah, and Braxis is a girl's girl. She really is. She's like, I am not going to make your life harder.
No,
No, ma'am.
no. Now, Gwyn, speaking of priestesses, works for a priestess named Meryl, who apparently does some very important pressing work. I wonder if we'll be getting anything else about that.
Right. Like, okay, and that's it.
Yeah.
I had
Uh,
a few things. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, what did you have? Go for it.
Yeah, I had a couple other things that I noted. So is it Bryalin?
I think
Bryalin?
Bryolin.
Bryalin. Okay. I was like Bryalin. Bryalin, we learn, is the only queen left living in their shared palace. So where did the rest of them go? Question mark. We let's see some of these things we already went over. Cochet is trying to free himself from the lake and basically take over the world, so that'll be a plot point for sure. I found it interesting that if a woman has her period and then touches weapons, or at least if it's Nesta, the Illyrians are going to bury them. Which I was like, that's a weird tradition, but okay. Is it just Nesta because they think she's a witch? Is it all women?
At least like melt them down.
Right? Like do something with them. Don't just like bury them in the
Recycle, reuse.
yeah.
Okay.
Or I don't know, you could sanitize them, I guess. It's so weird. I just thought that was an interesting little plot point. Um, right there when we meet Emery at the end, I feel like she almost alludes to the fact that her wings could be repaired. Now, it would be incredibly difficult and would need someone like Thesan, the High Lord of Dawn, or maybe even somebody like Feyre, who's got those abilities to repair them. And I was like, okay, that seems interesting. I feel like Emery
Hmm.
is now a character who's going to be coming back. We're going to see more of her, and this sort of alluding to the fact that maybe she will be able to use her wings someday.
Yeah. Yeah.
See what
Yeah,
happens.
she did. I mean, they never made it feel like it was completely out of the question.
Right. Like a death
Yeah.
sentence kind of thing. Just really hard to do.
Okay, are you ready to dive into this extremely complex heroine?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it's time, guys. Feyre is no longer our FMC, right? Our female main
Hmm.
character. Nesta is. So we're gonna jump into her first. And guys, I mean, we know this, right? Like nothing's really changed from A Court of Frost and Starlight, even if some time has passed. She's still
Hmm.
on the drink. She's not talking to anyone. She's just living a rough life at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I want to start back at, the that little scene in the prologue where she's going into the cauldron and it says, she's laughing as she enters the depths of the cauldron.
Mm.
Laughing out of like I mean, she was thinking of the king, right?
Yeah, yeah. As she like pointed and cursed at him.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then I think she says again too, like she laughed at him, but she also laughed at the actual cauldron
Hmm.
itself as she ripped its power away. Like I'm just picturing like an evil queen or like a witch like cackling as she
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
takes I was like, whoa, what a visual.
That's exactly how I was imagining it as well. Yeah, she's got a lot going on. She's using sex, music, and drinking to help her cope, but it's also to help her cope with the overwhelming sense of power that is happening in her body so that
Mhm.
she can be numb, so she can feel nothing. And if you remember Rhysand, when he's going through his speeches and thanking everybody, and every time he speaks about what Amryn has done for him, he's talking about how Amryn has helped him to learn how to deal with that overwhelming amount of power and what to do with it. And Nesta has
Mhm.
the straight up power of the cauldron inside of her. So she doesn't know how to manage it like Rhysand, like Amryn. She doesn't have any idea. And so she's
Mhm.
using what she knows to not feel it, but also to not feel her trauma. They're intertwined and yet separate entities.
Mhm.
And um I really feel for her right now. I mean, you think about her last words to her father or her father to her, and she thinks that
Mhm.
they're wasted on her. That I mean, it was so sad to hear all of this. I mean, we already know it. This is dark, but
Yeah.
it's just really, really hard to hear her think that she believes her father's last words that were intended for her, that he wanted to give her, were a waste.
Right. And it's
Ugh.
like the hatred that she has for herself,
Mm-hmm.
not for anybody else necessarily, but the hatred that she has for herself, for what happened
Yeah.
to her father, for what happened to Elaine. Like she has it so wrapped up in her head that she should have and could have been able to save them all. And
Yeah.
like that self-hatred is so deep. It's rooted
Mm-hmm.
in every facet of her brain right
Yeah,
now. It's
extremely.
so intense.
And, she even says that she resents herself for still hating her father in the moment that
Mm-hmm.
he died. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she hates that her father's last words were for her because she hates herself, but she hates her father. But at the same time, she's dealing with this conflicting emotion of like, oh, my dad came to save me. It's like the one big thing he's ever done. But like, I still hate you for everything you never did.
Mm-hmm.
And you're dying.
Right. And I don't have time to like talk about any of that or say any
Talk
of
about
that or
it,
work through
process
it or
it. Like,
anything. And then your
no.
neck is snapped.
And that's a lot of like feeling of guilt and how do you manage having such a horrible feeling for someone who sacrifices themselves for you?
Mm.
That would initiate some
Yeah.
self-hatred. And she talks about that also stemming from Elaine being captured.
Mm-hmm.
Although that frustrates me because I just still don't think that's her fault. I don't think that's her guilt to bear, but I
These
digress.
sisters, though, at least, I mean, we don't have Elaine's POV like at all.
Hmm. Hmm.
But Feyre and Nesta, like they both so deeply feel that everything is they have to
Their
do it and
fault.
it's on their shoulders. And it's like, did your mom just like put the weight of the world? Like, where does this come from within you?
Yeah. I don't, yeah,
Ugh.
I mean, that's a great question. But um, something else I found interesting beyond her self-hatred were these little moments where, we talk about her mother
Mm-hmm.
specifically, and she has that one like intimate memory. It's like a happy memory for her of her
Mm-hmm.
mother. And then that's something she notices when she goes to the river house. Feyre's has a painting, so many paintings up of the whole inner circle, but who's missing from the wall? Nesta, which I don't think she necessarily expects herself to be up there, but she notices her mother's not there either. And
Mm-hmm.
to be omitted from Feyre's wall of joy, wall of love, initiates more feelings of like, well, of course I wouldn't be up there because I'm awful, but also it feels awful that you are confirming what I feel about myself.
And it's like, oh, but Nesta, you're why would she at this point want you on her wall as a constant reminder of how you are treating her? It's a double-edged
Yes.
sword. It's
But
tough,
yeah.
right?
But also,
And
Feyre never had like super happy feelings about her dad either, and her dad's up there
well, I
with
feel
Elaine.
like too, and that's the thing, right? Like we're not told that like there's just portraits of her dad. You have to think too that like of course Elaine and their dad would be in a portrait together. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Feyre doesn't know their mother. She barely knew this woman. In
Hmm.
fact,
Hmm.
she may not even really remember what she looks like. She
Yeah.
may have so it's one of those things too where I'm like, Nesta, I hope in the future that maybe you verbalize that and help Feyre get some understanding of who your mother was aside
Mm.
from the dying woman that she can only remember.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. Um, there's someone else that Feyre doesn't like. It's Rhysand. And this hatred
Nesta,
is
not Feyre.
oh
Nesta,
gosh.
Feyre loves Reese. Yes.
Wow. Sorry, y'all. Um, that I probably just gave some people a jump scare. They're like,
They're
wait,
like,
what the fuck
what?
happened? Where did
What?
we read that?
When did this
You
happen?
didn't. You didn't read that. I promise.
I had to correct it. I'm sorry.
I'm so glad you did. That went over my head. Okay. Sorry. Nesta does not like Rhysand. In fact, she finds him insufferable.
I
And
mean,
it's so interesting to me because we love
yeah.
Rhysand. We grow to love him, and it's not like a. I do not believe this will be a sort of like Tamlin scenario where we fell in love with him for 3 fucking books and then we read Nesta's point of view and we hate him. I don't think that's what this is going to be. But I do wonder if the reasons that she hates him and he hates her, okay, all have the same reasonings, essentially, right? Like, Rhysand does not like her because of her actions towards Feyre. Nesta doesn't like herself because of her own actions.
Right. Well, and there's literally this quote, every damn thing Rhysand thought about her was true, and she'd known it long before he had ever shadowed her doorstep. So
Yeah,
like he hates you for the reason that you hate yourself. Like you guys are hating each other and yourself for the same thing. It's like a never ending circle
cycle.
of,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And I want to say too, like in this like never ending cycle of hatred and frustration and whatever, and because we're talking about Rhysand, we talk about Feyre too, but Nesta literally looks at Feyre and she goes, "You dragged me into this mess, this horrible place.
Mm.
You are why I am like why I am stuck here." Ouch, ouch. And then she's like pissed that Feyre has a relationship with Elaine now, and
That is
it's
so,
just
there's so much going on there. There's so much happening here.
so
Yes. Okay. So, all right, before I leave Rhysand completely alone, I do just want to know, I found it kind of funny that she's like, ugh, I have to, go to their house. And like, of course, Rhysand gave her a gift. Who gives somebody a fucking gift of a palace? That's not a gift. And she's like going through all of this and she's like, walks in and she's like, ugh, I guess it's home, like, whatever.
right. But then she says, home is a foreign word for her too.
Yeah,
She feels so out of place.
very,
And like, I get it. She
very.
doesn't have any control over her life. She hasn't for a
Hmm.
while. And I feel that. I do get that to a certain
Hmm.
extent with, stuff that's happened in all of our lives, right?
Yeah.
Things happen and we feel like we have no control. But when she feels so much like disgust and distaste for someone's home, for the word home, for family, why do you feel that, Nesta? Like, because I
Hmm.
feel like we got that when she was a human too. She's
Yeah.
always felt so disconnected.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it never felt home. She doesn't feel home now. She never felt home in the human world. Very, very true. Um,
Mhm.
did you happen to note how many times the word queen has been brought up yet?
Girl, if I had a tally for it, that's all I'd be doing.
Okay, like
Is
I feel like I need to go back and actually tally because at
right.
first it was a joke. It was like, oh, add it to the queen count, and now I'm like,
But
shit, I should have
now,
been real. I should have been for real counting.
well, literally, she thinks back to that memory of their mother who goes, "My Nesta, Elaine
Yes.
shall wed for love and beauty, but you, my cunning little queen, you
Mm-hmm.
shall wed for conquest." Like her
Mm-hmm.
mother was instilling this idea of queen from the get-go.
Mm-hmm. Completely. And okay, one more little touch on Rhysand, but it's really what we're talking about now is she constantly says, "You're not my high lord. He's not my high lord." And the more she says it, I'm like, is it because you're destined to be your own queen?
Your own queen. Yeah, your own
You're not
ruler.
destined to have a ruler? He's not destined to be your ruler? I don't know. It feels like two links, and I want
Yeah.
it to be true.
Yeah.
This is
Well, and
really
I
me just
still don't
putting
know
that
who
out
the
there and
motherfucking
manifesting,
well, and who's the High Queen? We got a goddamn podcast named after it, and I still don't know who the High Queen is.
right?
Is it Nesta? Is it somebody in Throne of Glass? Is it somebody in Crescent City? Bitch, I don't know.
Well, maybe we're going to have to discover it together, or maybe there isn't one yet, and maybe there will be one day.
If that's the truth, and I thought we didn't just make this up, you told me it was a thing.
I mean, it's a thing. That doesn't mean there is one.
Is one. There was one, unfortunately. Hopefully we get a better one.
That is not okay. Here's what I will
No.
say about the word High Queen and your reference just now to Amarantha. That is not the only reference.
Hmm.
It is not the only High Queen that has ever been.
Okay. Well, I'm
And that
excited
is
to learn some
all I
history.
will say about that. Okay. Only because it's the name of our podcast. Oh,
Someday, you guys, it's going to click for you and it's going to click for me.
did you
That's
love,
why we named it this.
right? Did you love how Nesta was like getting ready to go to the river house and she's like, do I look like I need 2 hours to be presentable?
As a
And
pageant girl,
Cassian's
I'm
like,
like,
I mean,
you
maybe
look a little
kind of
rough.
stink. You
Yeah.
should take a
Well,
bath.
and then I actually was a little shook, I'm not gonna lie, that she is exposure therapying herself through her trauma with
To a
bathtubs.
bath?
And I was like, did we never figure out showers? Did we never try that?
No, and her and Feyre grew more distant after Feyre was like, "We will find a solution for you. We will figure something out, so you don't have to keep taking a bath." But then Nesta pushed everyone away,
Yeah.
so she
Yep.
never got her shower.
Maybe that'll change in the future. Maybe the house will come up with a shower for her.
Perhaps, perhaps. I mean, she came so close to being a part of that inner circle, like so
Mm,
close, and then it was just like it feels ripped away. And she says, she learned how mercilessly it might be ripped away, what the cost of hope, joy, and love truly was. She never wanted to
mhm.
face it again or endure it. She is afraid of losing people she loves. She's afraid of losing Cassian. She's afraid of losing Elaine. She lost her dad, and while that love may be complicated, it exists. She's watched Feyre be torn from their home in the middle of the night and unable to find her when they were still living in the human land. So she's had a lot of experience with this, I think, when we add it all up,
Mhm.
and she doesn't want it again. So, why keep people
It's
close?
right. It's easier to push them away. It's easier to put distance between you and other people if all
Mm-hmm.
you think is and all you know, because really all she knows is that's what will happen. Her mother
Yeah.
was taken from her. Regardless of their feelings, her father was taken from her. At one point in time, Feyre was taken from her. Elaine was
Mm-hmm.
taken from her. Cassian could have been taken from her. She sees it over and over and over again, and unfortunately doesn't really know any different, really, at
Yeah.
least in her mind.
Yeah. That's very true. Now, let's go ahead and transition, I think, into Nesta plus Cassian. Like, I have a whole section for Cassian, but they're
Right.
so intertwined in these chapters and in this book that we're going to end up going back and forth a little bit between them quite frequently. It's hard not to. But
Mm-hmm.
Cassian calls himself a bastard born nobody, and Nesta's lips thin as he's making that comment. Her frustration with the comment itself, not necessarily with him. And to me, I interpreted that as she hates it when he refers to himself that way because she knows that he is so much more than that and wants him to see it too. And
Mm-hmm.
if we go back to that High Lords meeting with everybody when he was referred to, I think it says a bastard Illyrian or something like that, and that's where she stands up for him, like that bastard, is will be the one saving your ass, or has done so much more,
Yeah.
or is more, more of a hero, or I don't remember the exact comment she makes, but my point is she has stood up for him in front of people before when being called that, and her lips thinning here to me just said so much about her continued feelings for him.
Mm.
And such a little tiny moment, but it meant something, and you can see how deep it's still running.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like that we get this kind of look back too at the first time that they met, when she says that
Mm-hmm.
seeing Cassian for the first time was like seeing a man amongst boys. And
Mm.
she wanted him right then and there. And she still does. Even now, she doesn't know how to express it. She doesn't know how to not get hurt by those feelings, but she still wants it. She curls her toes. She's fighting
She curls
so
her toes a
hard.
lot.
Yes, she does. I mean, hey, I guess you can't see it, but she is trying so hard to push away those feelings.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
want to,
absolutely.
she even, I think, like, if we think about her like standing up for him too, she wants to get off that rock. She sees Lord Devlin and the other Illyrians watching her defy Cassian. In her mind, she knows it, but she cannot make her body
I know.
get up.
And what I think even worse is she does not want to disappoint or embarrass Cassian.
Mm.
But she says she's not going to do it, and then even though she wants to not embarrass him, she doesn't want to retract her initial statement. It's like she's like,
Mm.
I said it out loud, so I have to stick to it. And
Yeah,
then
it's like
settles
it's
in. She
okay.
lets that self-hatred settle in. She's like, this is better. It's better that I hate myself a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it's just, oh gosh, she's just making it worse on herself, but she's not willing to be vulnerable, right? She's not willing to put herself out there. Her words are, I am worthless, I am nothing, I hate everything that I am, and I'm so tired. I'm so tired of wanting to be anywhere but in my own head.
I wrote down that exact same quote because what I mean, if we got no other window into Nesta's brain right now,
Mm-hmm.
that those what one, two, three, four little sentences is how that's broken apart. Those four little sentences tell us everything. I am worthless. I am nothing. But she continues to like put on a mask, right? She
Mm-hmm.
continues to push back. And then like when they're in the Illyrian war camp and they're hiding, like the mothers and children are like running away and whatever, and she goes, you're right to hide your children from me. I am the monster you fear.
Mm-hmm.
She's putting on the mask too of like, I am nothing. I'm worthless. I don't want to be in my own brain. So, hatred and being terrifying and being nasty, that's
Mm-hmm.
easier. That's what I can do to
Yeah.
feel something, I guess, that won't be
Now,
taken from me.
exactly, exactly. Now, I think that this is a little bit maybe of a stretch, but I just want you to go along the ride with me, okay? She talks about how she doesn't have any of the like obvious Fey powers, like the normal high Fey powers. And she took something from the cauldron. But we know that Elaine was gifted something. And then I wonder, do we think maybe Fey okay, so Feyre's powers are very interesting because they're gifts from all the High Lords combined. But we've talked about this before where I think that the cauldron enhanced an innate ability for Elaine that she already possessed, her ability to
Mm-hmm.
see everyone for who they are, even Nesta, to see and to love them, and that to become a seer, to see deeper, was an enhancement of the gift she already possessed. What if Nesta does have perhaps some high fae powers and it is just enhanced, but it's her gift of seeing everyone else's deepest vulnerabilities because she says that she knows where to target. She says, I have the ability to find the most hurtful thing to say and to someone, and that maybe it's possibly a gift. That's a paraphrase, but essentially she says like maybe it's a gift that I know exactly what to say to hurt other people. And I'm like, okay, wait. To know how to hurt other people, you have to know where to hit. And that's to see their deepest vulnerabilities. Like, is that your power to know what someone's vulnerability is? I think that could be
Maybe.
cool.
And mine, I think her power is just that she's always had this like smoldering hatred within her. And when she was thrown into the cauldron, I mean, her drawer was fire. They
Fire.
continue
Yeah,
to
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
like silver fires. She leaves a
Hmm.
burnt handprint into stone, like when she
Hmm.
falls down the
Hmm.
stairs.
Oh yeah,
So
we haven't
yeah,
even gotten that into that. We haven't even talked about that. I have so many theories, and those theories, I am afraid to talk about them. I'm a little afraid to talk about them because they might bring up other books.
it's up to
So
you.
I'm gonna wait till the
You know
end.
I don't.
I'm gonna wait. No, you shouldn't wait. You don't. I have to play, say it, and also remember not to say it. Whereas you just get to say what you're thinking in the moment. So you say whatever you want to say. Um,
Which may come back to bite me in the ass.
okay. I do have a couple things that I just want to say for fun that I enjoyed about this. Um, she says, well, she'd already spoken to one stranger today, filling her quota of basic decency. I literally laughed out loud. Like, we all know how exhausting interaction can be sometimes. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah. And then she says
As an
later,
introvert, yeah.
she's like, two friendly interactions in one day? She had no idea when that had last occurred.
Relatable.
Yeah, those made me giggle. I really enjoyed those. And I think those are most of my takeaways there from Nesta in these chapters.
The only thing that I'll add on that's another one of those like random, where does it even fit? But she says that she finds Asriel to be the prettiest fat boy. He's the most attractive. And I didn't expect that. I didn't expect, for her to see Asriel as
Hmm.
beautiful or
Hmm.
whatever. And I think that too is maybe, although she wouldn't see it this way, but maybe a reflection of it's his trauma is on the outside and he's still beautiful. Her
Hmm.
trauma is on the inside. Maybe someday she'll be able to see herself as beautiful too. But I just was like,
Oh,
oh, how funny that that's the prettiest bat boy to her.
yeah. That's a very sweet elaboration on that. I enjoyed that. Okay, now on to Cassian. So, as I said,
Yeah.
I know they're going to get intertwined, but don't you just love getting Cassian's POV throughout all of
It's
this?
so fun. It's so
Yeah.
different. I mean, I don't know what SJM is going to give us in the future, but like if
Hmm.
we could also get Azrael and Elaine, and like I love, even if it's dark and depressing and even a little from Cassian right now
I
too,
know.
it's so nice to see inside their heads. I like it.
Yes, absolutely. Now, you have already brought it up, which is it is kind of dark inside Cassian's head. And that is so sad to me. I mean, he has a lot going on and he's been through a lot, right? He's old as fuck, so he's seen some shit. But I guess I wasn't experiencing him to have. Sorry, I guess I wasn't expecting him to experience such self deprecative speech. So
Right.
it's more specifically about his new role as like being a courtier. And
Mm-hmm.
he talks about how he feels like he can't trust his own instincts on what to do in those scenarios. And he feels like, he needs to act like his friends. He needs to think like him too. And doesn't really understand like why he would be chosen for this role. And yeah.
Why do you think he was chosen for this role?
Oh, because I
That's a
think
question.
Rhysand believes in him.
Right. For sure. But I just felt like that was, they we're gonna jump ahead. So sorry, everybody. But they like have a conversation, he and Rhysand,
Hmm.
about like, are you happy? Are you doing enough? Whatever. I want you to be my courtier to the humans. Like, what is Rhysand planning for? What is he seeing in Cassie? Like, why this for
Yeah.
Cass?
So okay, I understand what you're saying now. You're asking me to go deeper. I got
Yeah.
you. I think he knows that Nesta is a trigger for him and he wants to give him something to distract him,
Something else. Yeah.
to take his mind
Well,
off of not being able to have Nesta.
and I see, I agree with that. I do wholeheartedly. But it's literally this little, I'm your general. Isn't that enough? And Rhysand goes,
Mm.
is it enough for you?
Mm.
And that just was interesting to me, this question from Rhysand, and then Cassian like hesitates. And are they purely talking about the fact that what he wants more of is Nesta, or does he want something more than just being the general?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I
I
don't know.
think
I
either
don't
way,
know.
however that pans out, I think he's thinking to himself, I need to act like everyone else, but not realizing that there are reasons he was chosen for this role that have nothing to do with the other people in the inner circle and only what he can offer and bring to the table. And that thinking like everyone else isn't necessarily what's important here, but instead realizing the gifts and the talents that he possesses instead of trying to be something that he's not. And
Mhm.
that was kind of my takeaway for Cassian when it comes to this role as a courtier is stop trying to pretend to be someone else. Like use what you've got. It's enough.
Mhm.
And
I think
I
that's a
hope that he
good,
figures that out.
yeah, I think that's a good reminder too for everybody, like a little mini heroine's journey thrown in the
Mm-hmm.
middle here.
Hero journey.
Yeah, hero journey. Um, Rhysand is self-deprecating. Cassian,
Mm-hmm.
who we think of as this funny, brute, Cassian can't think poorly of himself, can't look down on himself. How could anyone like that? It's this
Mm-hmm.
reminder, I think, that we all have this inner monologue, right? Unfortunately, we all struggle with seeing what we think we have these weaknesses when in fact they may be our strengths.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually really nice to see this from Cassian and to go, no, but Cassian, we see how incredible you are. Rhysand sees that you can be a courtier. You don't
Mm-hmm.
see it, but we see it. And I think
Yeah.
that's like a good reminder for us as people too, that what we tear ourselves apart for, somebody else may look at as one of our greatest strengths.
Absolutely. Now, another place where he has some a sadder inner monologue is kind of where he talks about Nesta. He says, he remembers the words on solstice and he thinks to himself that he was stupid for hoping
Mm,
that she had chosen him. Because why would she? That's like
yeah.
that's what's going on in his head. So not only is he questioning himself when it comes to Nesta and being wanted emotionally, but he's questioning his abilities now as a leader and as a member of the inner circle and as, a player in this game. There's a lot that he is feeling unsure of in his life. And it's really, really sad to hear him talk about that. But on the other hand, I do think he at least has some positive ways of coping with all of it, or some more positive ways than Nesta, I guess. One of
Yeah.
them, he says, it's the sound of the sea. He goes and he sits and he just listens to the sound of the sea. And man, did I get that. I can think back to a moment in my early 20s when I was living in South Dakota, but I'd come to Florida where I now live. And we had gone to the beach and I was sitting there. It's midnight on New Year's Eve. Fireworks are going off over the ocean. The sun is not out, y'all. The moon is out. It's reflecting out onto the ocean. It's stunning. I'm sitting there on the sand, breeze through my hair, jacket on, and just basking in all of it. Meanwhile, I'm
Mm,
also like having like a moment in my own mind of like, my life is not going the way I want it to. I
mm,
need to change things. Taking some deep breaths. And as I was reading this about Cassie and how he's sitting there using the sound of the sea to like cope and to reflect for himself, I was like, oh my gosh, I get that. I get it and I can picture it so vividly. And I've done that. Yeah, Cassie, and that is healthy. Good job.
the ocean is a wonderful thing. It's nowhere near me, but I
Ugh,
I yearn for the ocean.
yes. Oh my gosh. Now, we got a lot of I would say lighthearted moments from Cassian as well. One thing that he does have the skill and the ability to do is to be very lighthearted. And that was, I think, even during the intervention, everybody's attacking Nesta, saying things, and he's just trying to be there to like keep the mood light. He's like the
Yeah.
biggest, burliest Fae in the room, and he's like, I'm gonna protect Nesta. Well, hey, everybody, let's calm down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, I thought was again sweet of him because he's such a sweet person. He does have a moment though where he's like, do we think Nesta would attack her own family? Like he questions it for a second. He's like, would you?
Yeah.
Nah.
I think it's so telling of who Cassian is too, especially in those moments between like Nesta and Feyre. And he says that it pains me that Nesta has become this. Or yeah, it pains me that she and Feyre are always at each other's throats. It pains me that Feyre hurts over it, and I know Nesta does too. Like he sees what's happening between the two of them, and he does what he can to like keep the situations light and to protect, and but he pays attention, and he wants not only to rectify the situation for himself because he feels things for Nesta, he likes
Yeah.
Nesta, but he also wants to help her for everyone, not just for himself. He wants to help Nesta for Feyre, for Elaine, for them all.
Well, yes, he absolutely does. I think he just really wants to help Nesta. Wink, wink.
I think we would all like for him to help Nesta.
Just saying. Okay. So this did shock me a little bit because Nesta thinks about a time in the past when she let Cassian nuzzle and lick at her throat. When the fuck did that happen?
Right? I said
Clo-
the same thing.
Sorry, what? Closed door? Off the page?
But when the fuck would that have been?
But I mean, why? We wouldn't know. We're in Feyre's head. Why would we know?
What else happened, Nesta?
What else has happened in general that we didn't know about because we were in Feyre's head? Okay. So
I
apparently
also
that
was
happened.
like-
Apparently they've already have had a little like moment.
Some moments.
I was like, oh shit, I wanted that. Why didn't I get that?
Right.
Okay. Then Nesta's like, don't even think I'll be crawling into your bed. And he's like, don't be worried. You'll be crawling into mine.
Can't wait for that to happen.
I love the banter. I love the tension. I'm here for it. I need it. He says those pants were going to brutally, thoroughly kill him.
He also talks about like her rack. He can't handle her in Illyrian leathers. Her boobies really are like doing it for him. Everything about this woman. I think he even says like despite her being, thin and unhealthy now, man, her chest is still doing it for him.
Poppin'. And I know a lot of us have questioned like where do Cassian and Morgan stand? Like, what is up with that? And we finally, from Cassian's point of view, got an answer for it. And I
Yes.
needed this. I know you did. Ever since the fallout of his and Morgan's one night together, he has only ever seen her with sisterly affection and put aside any other feelings of desire or lust. Done. End of story.
And that's all we needed. We now know that the way that he reacts and acts to her is out of protection. That's what he does for the ladies in his life, but that is his sister. And I was like, thank you. Now we should probably clarify that for the rest of the world, but thank you for clarifying that for us.
Right. Which I was glad for because it makes these moments of longing for Nesta feel like, I don't know, just better. Like, okay, yes, we can move forward just this one lane, I hope, and not have any other lingering questions or tensions or potential love triangles. Like, I don't want to deal with that shit. So, at least not in this book.
I was
so
going to say, or at least between
at least
him and
with
more.
them.
And yeah, exactly. Maybe others,
Yeah. And
but
we know that Cassian wants that. I mean, he describes feeling jealousy towards Rhys and Feyre for the
Mhm.
love that they share, wanting to have that with them. And he's very protective of Nesta. We can feel that his desire to help her is so clear, how badly he wants to reach out his hand, right? He's keeping coming back again and again and again. And I want to bring up this moment where we realize that Cassian knows about Nesta and Thomas
Mm.
because she more or less confirmed it when she was still human and shuddered when Cassian had touched her. And that's it's just so clear that he's, he would like rip him apart. He would
Mhm.
rip him apart. And then there's this line, speaking of touch. Cassian says that it's something he needs, possibly due to the lack of it as a child.
Mhm.
Oh, and then you fell in love with Nesta.
Right. Of all, well, okay. So we're gonna my husband's
Oh
love language
no.
is physical touch, 1000%. And I
Mm.
am not, I mean, when I want to be, I am huggy and handholdy and whatever. But that man could have me, with a hand on him 24/7, 365 days a year, and that's still not enough. So I get it to an extent of, why do those people always pick the people who
That's
maybe
funny
can't
because
give?
I'm a touchy person.
Yeah.
And whenever we're near each other, I'm always like, I don't know if she wants me to hug her.
No, and I actually do love hugs. I do love hugs. So please, please give me hugs.
I'm
And
that person who's like, hey,
yeah,
how you
I know
doing?
you are. See, you're the golden retriever and I'm the black cat. And I
No
love
one
it
has ever
though.
described me as a golden retriever before in my life.
Babe, you're
I
the
think
golden
I like it.
retriever. You are the golden retriever. You are. No, give next time we see each other, give me all the hugs. I love hugs. I'm just not an initiator of
Oh.
physical touch very well. Like that's just which there's
Yeah.
no real reason for it, but I'm not great at like the initiation of it. So
I
give me the
touched someone
hugs.
on the back of their arm once and they went, oh, it's autumn, before they had ever seen me. And I was like, do I have a calling card? And they're like, yeah, that's your calling card. I was like,
At least you don't like touch their
huh.
butt or something.
Well, I did that as a child, so there's that. I'd run around my family's house, just boop.
Tapping butts.
Apparently, I thought it was funny.
I mean, I
Okay.
think it's funny.
Wow, what a segue. Let's talk about Azrael.
Wait. No, we can't move on from Cassian yet. We can't.
Oh, there's more.
I mean, there's more for me. There's just a
Wait, you
few
all need to
things.
know. Okay, if you've been listening to this podcast long enough, you should have a vibe right now. It should feel like a Sunday night kind of vibe.
Yeah. It gets more chaotic. Also, with just the way that the week went, normally we weave our stuff together. That didn't happen this time. So I've got some random ass shit that I'll probably throw at the end of every person.
Hit it,
Um,
girl.
I didn't know where to put this, like to bring it up, but I had to giggle too when at the very beginning he is nervous to knock on Nesta's door, which like I would be too. But the sound of her feet walking up to answer it kind of triggers his body into this fighting stance. And it makes me think of like people nowadays who get anxious for someone to answer their phone call or to like take a phone call like that gave sort of the same response that I feel
Yeah.
like some people have, which I just thought was kind of funny a little bit.
My version of that is someone rings my doorbell and I go hide in my closet.
Right.
I'm
You're
like,
like, I'm not answering the door. I
who
hate
is
answering the door. And I have
No.
windows right above where my front door is. So I'll like drop to the couch. I'm like, who's at my house? I'm if you know me, you know how to get into my home. If you don't, I'm not answering the door for
Why are
you.
you here?
No. Get
But yes.
relatable. Relatable.
Hilarious.
Speaking of slightly relatable. He knows the food pyramid really well, which I love. Feels very fitting for Cassian.
Hmm.
Also feels very fitting for Cassian that he keeps a knife on the nightstand, two under the mattress, a set above the door, and two swords under the bed and in a dresser drawer.
Why not? Why not? Yes, I do love how Cassian drops all of this like nutritional knowledge.
Uh-huh.
All things I'm very well versed in. I literally
Yeah.
have a certification in nutrition coaching, all while I'm eating an entire bag of Cadbury eggs during this session.
Babe,
It's
it's
called
balance.
balance.
It is. It is called balance. Now, speaking of balance, gonna throw this in here right at the end before we transition out of our we hope someday lovebirds. But at the end of these, we have that fight between Cassian and Nesta. And he goes, everyone fucking hates you. Is that what you want? Because congratulations, it's happened. You want to rip yourself apart? Go right ahead. Implode all you like. The training was supposed to help you, not punish you. I don't know why you don't fucking get that. And I mean, oh, what a section, and what a difference between like Reese's tactics with Feyre versus Cassian's and Nesta's. Like even
Mm.
when Feyre threw shoes and books at Reese's head, he never he never said anything like this to Feyre, but I also think that Cassian needed to. And it needed to happen. It needed to
Yeah.
happen from someone. Like sometimes, and this will come in the heroine's journey at the end with a personal story, but sometimes for some people, I think we need someone that we love and that cares about us to kind of jarringly like say something like that to you.
Yeah.
I think it almost like it kind of like shakes you from this numbness that you're in, to have somebody call you on your bullshit so point blank like he does in
Yeah.
this moment.
Yeah.
I could feel it. Like it took me to a place of when I was being a Nesta, and it like how that would have just kind of shook me to my core in a way that's hurtful, but also kind of helpful to start to kind of break apart the haze that's over your
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah. I mean, how many times when we were reading Feyre's story did we think, oh my God, just like set, wake up, like take a look around, or like we wished that Rhysand just would have been like, let me just lay it all out there for you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not what we got, but that's what we get here. And I
Yeah.
would argue
And it's what we wished for.
Nesta needs it. She needs that, and she is not the same as Feyre in that regard. Rhysand's tactics wouldn't have worked on her because silver tongues and smooth talks and flirtatious notes are not going to get Nesta out of this.
She needs point blank, like no sugarcoating. That's because that's who she is.
Well, and remember, Rhysand has said she's an Illyrian at heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very kind of Illyrian way to go about things. Would you agree? Based on what we've inferred.
100%. 100%. Speaking of Illyrians,
Okay, now Azrael.
I'm done.
Okay. Well, I don't have too much to say about Azrael, but he's in this book a lot more than he was in some of the other books already in these first few chapters. So I put him at the top of our list. And there's this model of the world that Cassian and Azrael find, and Azrael is extremely fascinated in what Rhys has put together, and fascinated in the idea of worlds on worlds and planets, there being different worlds and different planets to explore. This is the first instance that this has been brought up. Up until now, we have only learned about Prythian. We have learned that there's a continent, and there's Highborn, a little island. That's about all we know. And now we get this little boop. It's so glanced. Wow, I put like two words together there. It's like dropped and gone by so fast that this now on my third read is the only time I've picked it up, and I was like, wait a minute. hang on.
So I did right away, which also I'm analyzing it, right? So it's different than
Hmm.
when you just like read it for pleasure,
Right.
right? We're digging a little deeper. But no, I so this is in the questions section for me, but I'll
Mm.
bring it up now because I was like, so Resand has a model of their world and the stars and the planets around it. How do they know about other planets? How do they know that sometimes this world that we are in is so there's like so much juxtaposition. We have,
Hmm.
Lucian's eye and the mechanics of that. Apparently Resand understands that there are other planets and worlds and a universe beyond Prythian. I mean, we know that there are other worlds because how in the hell else would we have Amarin and our death gods and whatever? But this idea that that Reese has a model that he
That
has put
that's the difference
together,
to me. You're right. We have heard about other worlds because of Amryn, but this is
a
knowledge.
tangible
Knowledge,
thing.
yes. I'm like, huh. And
It's
but now back
interesting.
to yes, it is very now back to Azriel. Cassian couldn't give two shits about this. He's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
boring. Okay. And
Az is like,
Azriel
this is
is
so cool.
yes, he's like so into it. And I only noted that because Azriel is such a sneaky little snake. Okay.
Make a
And I just wonder, he has these interesting powers. He has a different form of power when it comes to winnowing. We've never really seen this before. It's extremely rare. Where does it even come from? And it's leaving me with some questions about maybe he is from another
He's an
world and we don't
alien.
know about it. Like, I don't know. This is a theory again. I'm just like dropping thoughts into this. But,
Yeah.
anyways,
His
found that funny.
obsession or interest is
Hmm.
curious
Hmm.
for sure.
He is apparently juggling more than he's willing to admit. And rather than staying at the House of Wind, or sorry, he's staying at the House of Wind instead of the River House. And he was staying there before all of this dropped with Nesta. So he didn't want to be at the River House. Interesting. Cassian says he doesn't know why, that he just likes his space. Personally, I think he was staying at the House of Wind before Cassian and Nesta ever came because he needed some space from Elaine. And it was too much proximity to her to be at the River House, making him have some feelings.
Hmm. Which I think would maybe add into him having a lot of things to juggle because if he's there, he might be distracted
Mm-hmm.
by what Elaine brings to the surface for him.
Yes, yes. So, and again, that wasn't confirmed in writing. It's just
It's
my
just an
take on it.
idea.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now, Asriel is our chaperone, our barrier, our third wheel, and he gets to watch a lot of interesting things happen. And this was one of my favorites. His eyes danced. This is referring to watching Nesta and Cassian's conversation, and he is highly entertained. Cassian says, it doesn't count when you let your hands do most of the work. That's referring to her standing up from the table, using her hands to push up. Nesta says, I bet that's not what you tell yourself at night, Cassian. Is that what those smutty books teach you? That it's only at night? And
This whole
Asriel's over on the
interaction.
other side of the table, just, oh my gosh, just looking back and forth between each of them. I'm just imagining his smile growing a little bigger and bigger as they're talking, like,
Uh-huh.
wow. The It's like real-time drama TV.
Oh yeah, you're watching a soap opera play out in front of you.
Yes, and I love it.
He's
And so
eating
I
his
love,
popcorn.
but like this scene, I think is made more humorous by his presence.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would just be intense and like in a hot kind of way. But now
Yeah.
it's funny, which
Yeah.
I really enjoyed being able to laugh during some of this because this book has such a dark tone that Asriel is somehow becoming the comedic relief.
Which I'm obsessed with. It just feels right.
Yeah. Well, I
Oh.
am ready to go on to our next character if you are.
Yes, let's dive back into our beloved Feyre for a
Feyre.
moment.
So we do get a couple instances of her, a couple mentions, and a couple in-person scenes, if you will. And she's talking to Reese, and she's like pissed at this meeting. That's enough,
Hmm.
Reese. I told you to keep out of it. You can either leave or stay and keep your mouth shut. You too, Amryn. Like, get it, Feyre.
I
You know,
it makes me sad that they're fighting because of Nesta, but also I
yeah.
like her like standing up and being like, we're gonna fucking take care of this and we're gonna take care of it my way.
Yes, yes. And that that I love that because it does feel like a very Feyre thing to do to get it done in that
Hmm.
sense. But she loves her sister. She loves her sister so much that she would not let her mate, the love of her life, speak to her sister in that way. And that love of her sister is so clear to me. And I hate that Nesta can't see it. But
Mm,
I don't know. It's just so sad. She says, I should have given you, I gave you space after the war and I shouldn't have. You're done, Nesta. It's
mhm.
hard to be that firm kind of presence for the people that you love, to give them support or what you think they need of support, while also drawing a boundary and a
Mhm.
line, not just for yourself, but for them.
Yeah.
That is
It
so
was
difficult.
it is, but it was time, right? It was
Oh,
time to
yeah.
do this. Like it was time to put an end to it because they can't keep enabling her. Like at some
No.
point, and as sad as that is, I found it interesting too, though, that like that breaking point of like, we can't enable Nesta anymore was Feyre's embarrassment of Nesta spending. She
Yeah.
took everything that Nesta said to her. They're dealing with that, but it was that final straw. And I know it was for Reese too. And there's some other things at play with you can't act this way when you're the High Lady's sister and yada yada. But Nesta's just like blatant disregard for anything and everyone was finally that like final straw of you can't just keep doing this and I can't allow
Yeah.
you. And what a growth moment for Feyre. We won't talk about her growth a whole lot anymore, but what a moment for her to finally, as the little sister too, to go, okay, like it's time to do something different.
Hmm. Now, we also learned that Nesta has a room in this house, and that breaks my heart too. Like Feyre went in and made a room for her, even though she really
Mm-hmm.
believes that her sister hates her. And I just felt like we were really getting so close to having an understanding between these two. So that makes my heart hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, also on Favor, just a note, is this shield blocking her from everybody and her scent? You got any thoughts on that?
That's interesting to me. I'm also then curious. I'm like, so does Rhysand just remove it when you have sex and then put it right back? Because Cassian goes to kiss you on the cheek and there's like a barrier there. So it's interesting. But that that feels like there's more to play because we've now brought it up a couple of times.
Right.
But
What do you think it's for?
I don't know. I don't know. Genuinely have no idea.
I'm intrigued. They've dropped so many little things about like the queens are planning vengeance. Koche is coming. Like
I'm imagining it's to
thousand
protect
things
her.
going on.
Like,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
but I'm just
it's
meaning
it's protection, but
they've thrown out so many potential like, oh, but Baron is a traitor. Like there's so many
mm,
avenues we can go down here to think about what she would need protection from. So excited
mm-hmm.
to find out more. Speaking of her protector,
Our
I don't
lovely
actually, I
Rhysand.
know, I don't have a lot to say about Rhysand this time, which feels very odd for me going in, but just because we're so used to talking about him. But some things I did think were interesting. We've already talked about him pondering life beyond, excuse me, their own world. But the one thing I noted is he admits that he is afraid of Nesta,
Mm-hmm.
afraid of her,
Mm-hmm.
afraid of her power, afraid of the potential of what she would do, afraid because he doesn't know her fully. There's a lot left to interpretation there. Does he even know
Maybe
why he's
that's what
afraid of
that
her?
shield is for. Maybe that shield is,
Ooh, against
out of
Nesta?
fear, uncertainty.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting that he's practicing these like shields from Helion and that like he and Helion are, I don't know, teaming up for some reason. Speaking of teaming up, he's still actively visiting Tamlin. And they say that I'm like pretty sure it's point blank said visiting Tamlin, not just
Yeah.
like Springcourt border. So he's, being the bigger man again, and he's visiting Tamlin, um, which is interesting. Also, I think I had this question books and books and books ago, but it seems that it is not just Feyre and Rhys who can have conversations mentally. Rhys, we knew that Rhys could like share stuff to everybody else's minds, but Rhys and Cassian actually chat. They have a mind conversation in these chapters, which was just kind of a clarifying thing for me if anybody else was ever like curious if that was
Yeah.
something that other
The
people
way I
could do with his
interpreted
power.
that is he can go into anyone's mind and anyone can think their own thoughts within their mind. Therefore, he would know what they are. And then he can plug in his thoughts.
Yeah,
So
I just
he
figured
can
with
be the
Cassian knowing what he's
initiator.
saying.
Yeah, yeah. But like he can be the initiator of it. Cassian cannot. What I find interesting about Feyre and Rhysand and their mind connection is either one of them can initiate it.
For sure. Yeah,
So,
I just didn't know that others could, talk back
yeah.
essentially. So
So that was
if
cool.
anybody else didn't know.
Yeah. Well, our third Archeron sister, Miss Elaine, does have a few moments in this book. Apparently, Elaine knew of the plan, and she was the one packing Nesta's house. Ugh.
Mm,
That somehow feels very right and yet very icky.
yeah, it audibly had me saying, wow. Like, I know that for Elaine, it was to help, but that Nesta sees that as a stab in the
Oh,
back.
yeah. Well,
And
Nesta sees her as choosing Feyre.
yeah, for sure.
I know, she says Elaine has found a place and a role here, tending her gardens of the river house and other Valaris residences, and their destroyed gardens. Well, so she has found, I guess, a purpose. That's good to know for her going in. A nice setup, I guess, for us. Hopefully, one day getting her POV is that she's not just wasting away anymore. Good to know. And then I wrote down perhaps Nesta pushes Elaine away because she knows Elaine is her deepest vulnerability. And that with so many sources wanting to attack Nesta for her powers, Elaine is safer distanced from her. That was kind of my take on like why would you push Elaine away at this point?
For
I
sure.
think she's afraid of Elaine getting hurt because of her.
I think
And that
that's
was kind
true of
of
everybody,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. But she has this particular love for Elaine that or fear too of her being hurt. So that's kind of what I wrote down about Elaine.
Yeah. Might as well dive into the next character. We've got Amryn. It's got a few
Amryn.
moments.
Meow, meow, meow. Okay, Amryn shaking with rage after the barge party. And Nesta leaves clutching herself. A friendship fallout. I am so interested to see what happened in that conversation. I hope we get like a
Yeah.
flashback of some kind to reveal that conversation or like what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to have that just because we even have this moment where Amryn is pissed, like she's pissed at Nesta, but
Hmm.
we're told that there's like a glimmer of worry in her eyes when she sees Nesta's physical state, having not seen her for a couple of months and spoken to her. She
Hmm.
cares about her, but I think she's also to the point where she's like, there's nothing more I can do for this person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then Nesta is, described as further deteriorating after losing her
Mhm.
last friend in Amryn. And even yet, Amryn says, keep reaching out your hand. Everyone else
Mhm.
is, you know, unsurprised or frustrated with Nesta's lack of training, and Amryn is the one who provides the only kind of encouragement and any kind of potential hope. So she hasn't completely given up on her, I don't think.
I don't think Amryn would completely give up on anybody.
Mm.
She's too stubborn for that.
Well, speaking of, just Amryn herself, apparently she has still has like the basic high fae magic of moving an object from one area to another, those kinds of things. And I was like, wait, no, what other kinds of things? I would like
Right. What are
what
the
is included
basics?
in the
What are the
basics? I
basics?
actually would like to know more of that. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. What are the basic powers?
What a, like we can make light turn on, like I just set
Right, right.
energy. I'm curious.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and then Morrigan is actually the last character I have written down, and I don't have too much to say about her other than to give her character a little bit of an update with her returning from Valahan. She says to Nesta, "My vote would have been to dump you right back in the human lands. I knew plenty of people like you once. You never deserve the benefit of the doubt that good people give you." And Nesta's inner thought is, she knew that.
Yeah, Moore thinks about as highly of Nesta as she does her own family, Eris, and I mean, that tells you a lot of the way that Moore sees
It
Nesta.
does, but you would think that because Moore sees so many other people she considers highly and adores fighting for Nesta, that maybe she would even attempt to see some good in her.
Maybe she sees something that others don't,
A truth.
a truth, or maybe at this point in time, because, we all make our choices, right? Like
Mm.
our fates are not set in stone necessarily. We all have choice. And so maybe the path that she's currently on, she is sort of irredeemable in Morgan's
Yeah,
eyes. Maybe she needs her to make a
potentially.
different decision before she can
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
think of her any differently. But I think too, it's not just these interactions with Nesta, but we're told that when she returns, something is shadowing her. Something is
Mm.
weighing on our blonde beauty, something
Yeah,
else. So I think that's something to note too. What is that and what more will we get from her travels to the continent?
I want that so badly.
Hmm.
Well, we've made it to the end of our character deep dive analyses, and it's time to figure out what didn't we figure out? What didn't click? And
Always
just,
questions.
I know, always. But that's the fun part of it. So, Cassian remarks on how Jurian was ripped apart and then put back together. So, was he human or something different? He questions, what is Jurian?
You and me both, Cass. You and me both.
What? Well, actually, I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't thinking about it till you brought it up, but now I'm thinking about it.
I've been wondering the whole damn time. I'm like, you can't just be straight up human anymore, right?
I mean, is he an immortal at this point?
Right.
I feel like after 500 years of torture with my eyeball, I'd just be like, yeah, let me live out the next 80. We're good.
Yeah.
Seen enough, literally. Seen too much.
For
My
real.
next one, we've actually brought up a little bit earlier. I said I would bring it back up here. It says that when Nesta falls down the stairs, she digs her nails into them and sparks of flame fly out. This is where I ask you, what causes sparks of flame against stone?
Metal.
Are Nesta's nails made of metal?
We get a lot of talk of silver flame. What does that mean? Molten ore within her.
Do you remember when I brought up the iron nails in Morgan's belly?
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, that was one of my questions, was like, why were you impeded from moving from an iron nail or three in your stomach when like you can fight through like basically your guts hanging out as a high fae? And now I'm like, is that iron? Are those iron nails?
And
I don't
again,
know.
maybe
This is
that's why
again,
Moore doesn't like Nesta.
we're in our question section, okay? I'm just like, what's happening there? Why do your nails leave a permanent fingerprint into stone? It made me go, what? More, please.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
those are
yeah.
all my main questions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Moore says that Lucian can no longer be trusted because he's friends with Jurian and Vasa. And I thought that was interesting. Why is that the case? Why does Nesta hate Moore? So the flip side of kind of the conversation that we've been having, especially because, and now this may take some time within Nesta's brain, but you would think that they would actually potentially get along, or at least kind of be kindred spirits in a way, because they've both been violated and tortured, and in the priestesses, and they're all kind of, unfortunately, all within the same, I don't know, vein. So I
Yeah.
would think that maybe, and maybe this is a future thing, that Moore and Nesta would at least find some common ground in a sense
I wonder
between their
how
shared
much
past.
of Moore's story Nesta actually knows. Like, she
Yeah.
knows the priestesses have endured trauma because that's why they're there. But like, does she know Moore has endured a lot of the same things that she has? Maybe she doesn't. Also, maybe it's just proximity of Moore being in the merry little band.
Well, I mean, I think that's why she hates everybody right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Plus, Moore's this beautiful blonde who gets attention, and, you know, I think Nesta wants it, but she doesn't because she pushes people away. And I'm sure that that's a little bit of it too,
Yeah.
just that like inner demon a little bit. But the Autumn Court hounds, they smell something human, but also, quote, odd somehow. We understand that
Mm.
that relates to Bryolin, but what does that mean? The odd somehow human, but odd, because
Yeah.
technically Bryolin should be Fae, even though she's
Right.
an old withered Fae. So what does that mean?
Hmm.
Um, it's been a year pretty much since the battle, and Vasa is still where she wants to be. So what did Daddy Archeron bargain with Cochet to be able to garner her this much freedom and
I
time?
want to
Like
know that
the
bargain.
fact the fact that she's still in
Or
Prythian
she's
is really
found
curious
maybe
to me.
enough loopholes.
Yeah, well, regardless, what is that?
Yeah.
How are you still here? What's the plan? Clearly Vasa and Jurian are going to be more of the story. And then, yeah, I would just love to know how the House of Wind works. I would love a little bit of information about the House of Wind.
Yeah. All right, jumping into our heroine's journey, I want to start with a quote, and it is, they had thrown them all to the wolves. So Nesta had become a wolf, and herself, with invisible teeth and claws, had learned how to strike faster, deeper, more lethally, and relished it. And when the time came to put away the wolf, she found that it had devoured her too. And I think this really stuck with me because Nesta's a very unfiltered heroine. She really shows us, at least internally, how deep trauma can go and how much it can wound you and reshape you into something that you don't even recognize anymore. And she turns it into her armor. It is sharp, it's distant, it's oftentimes cruel, and she drowns herself with it, with all this distraction, becoming something that she doesn't recognize once again. And unfortunately, I think it's really easy for all of us to potentially relate to that. If you can't relate to it, I'm really glad for you, but that is something that reminds me, at least, of what it's like to recognize this version of yourself, the wolf, so to speak, the anger, the defense, but to hopefully remember that it doesn't have to be the end of your journey, that it can just be the beginning of reclaiming yourself, to put the claws away, and that sometimes who you need to become in order to survive doesn't mean that you've lost the version of you that you had originally. And knowing that you can untangle all of those protective layers, but it takes time to face that part of yourself. It takes time to believe that you can come back from something that deep. And most importantly, it takes time to realize that you're worthy of love again. And I think that's my hope also for our heroine's journey. It's what we're seeing right now is the wolf that she's become, but my hope for her is that she can untangle that deep, deep web.
Well, this week for our heroine's journey, I'm going to share something personal. So, Nesta reminds me of a time when I was in college, when I was really struggling with my own mental health and depression. And I'd gotten into a fight with my dad. He was doing everything he could to keep things normal, to be kind, to reach out a hand, much like Cassian does. And I pushed back hard. And I remember him finally snapping, asking what was wrong with me, yelling, "What is wrong with you?" The same way that Cassian finally raises his voice to Nesta. And I stood there, tears streaming down my face, yelling across our kitchen, "I don't know." And I think that's the lesson here. It's not okay to hurt the people who are trying to love us, but it is okay to not have the answers. It's okay to not know how to move forward. But healing does start with honesty, and sometimes honesty is, "I don't know." It's admitting that something isn't right. And with allowing other people in, letting them help us take even the smallest step out of the hole that we have found ourselves in, that maybe we've been shaken out of in that moment. And if you're struggling on the other side of that, if you're Cassian or my dad, if you love someone who's struggling, then you take Amren's words as your reminder. Keep reaching out your hand.
Now, I know you want to keep going. I know you want to turn the page, but we do have to close the book on this one.
But hey, every epic needs a cliffhanger, right? So let's savor the suspense.
Please remember to like, share, subscribe, write a review, and follow us.
Absolutely.
Before you remove your bookmark to prepare for next week, we will be doing chapters 12 through 28. Remember that whether you're conquering your own kingdom or cozying up with a good book, you are the main character of your own epic tale.
All right, queens, for real now. Put the book down, hold your crown high, and of course, we will catch you on the next page.